Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Let's make sure we're coming in live. And there we are. Should be nice. Hi everyone. This is Chycho. Welcome to my channel. And oh, let me turn this off. Channel and welcome to another live stream. That was me talking. The mic was picking it up. Good. We turned that off because we're going to be watching a couple of videos during this live stream. So let me see. Let me put on the headphones to make sure everything's working out okay. Oh, okay. I got to turn off the audio on this. There we go. That's what we needed to do. Hopefully, the sound is coming out okay. Apologies about that. Good day to the autonomy warriors of Chichonia. Hello, Meta Dragons. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. So we're doing a Julian Assange live stream. We're going to do 4 Julian Assange live streams. We're going to do 2 today. This is, what are we in today? This is August 15th 2021. Okay, it's 10 a.m. PDT, Pacific West Coast Canada, my time. And we're going to do another one at 2, and then tomorrow we're going to do the same deal, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. we're going to do Julian Assange live streams. I mainly titled this stream Julian Assange's The World Tomorrow, an Open Discussion. And The World Tomorrow is series that Julian Assange put out. Julian Assange and WikiLeaks put out in 2012 through RT, Russia Today, the network. Okay, because none of the Western propagandists would carry it, right? They weren't interested. They're sort of the propaganda arm of the Western totalitarian regimes, inverted totalitarian regimes, as Chris Hedges quoting I forget who the person that came out, Walden, stated that the system that we're living under, right? So Julian Assange put out a series called The World Tomorrow, and they do have a playlist on CensorTube, and we'll take a look at it. And they do run the series on RT as well, hosting it on RT, and I've linked it up in the description of the videos that we announced on Patreon and whatnot. But I just grabbed the RT link because the CensorTube playlist, because it lists everything out, and the video is to the left of the screen, so it allows us to put the chat up and stuff like this. Micro Twist, how are you doing? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well on this Sunday. This Sunday, right? And the main gist of this live stream is, and the next 3 live streams, these 4 live streams that we're doing, is basically to free Assange, right? And the reason being is that Julian Assange is a publisher and journalist that is being crucified by capitalist power for trying to bring transparency and accountability to humanity, right? And if you can dig down, find more information on what WikiLeaks and Julian Assange is about on wikileaks.org, defend.wikileaks.org, and you can check out our Julian Assange and WikiLeaks playlist on CensorTube. But we're going to cover a fair bit in these next couple of days. And for those joining us or watching these videos after the fact, you should get a pretty good feel on what's at stake. Okay, and aside from that, while we wait for notifications to go out and whatnot, for people to roll in, let me give you guys my little intro for who I am. I am on Patreon, patreon.com/chycho, CHYCHO. If you want to support this work, if you want to follow this work, if you want to know what this work is about, Patreon is a great way to begin that journey, right? Meta Dragons, I watched the War on Journalism doc on Rumble in preparation for the stream. Really powerful content, very powerful content. I'm pretty sure I've seen that documentary. I'm not 100% sure if I've seen that one. I've seen versions of that. One other one is Spin is an amazing documentary from the 1990s, and it shows how propagandists, corporate propaganda, pretending to be news, spins information to propagate Western agenda, right? Dragons, how are you doing? How's life in Ireland? Hello, Chycho. How's life? Doing good. Saint Just Germany. Hello, hello. Hope you're doing well. It's on Odyssey, my bad. Odyssey? Okay, cool, cool, cool. The third aggression, how are you doing? Candyman, ad before your video. Weird. I know. Candyman, like the movie Candyman? Can't be the movie Candyman. Must be a game. Arrow Yacht 133. Hey Chycho, hope you have been well. Doing good. Still eating pastries that I brought when I visited family last week from my mom. Pastries made by mama. Jam made by Chycho. Right, super delicious, addictive. It's like crack, right? Happy Sunday, everyone. Cheryl, how are you doing? Happy Sunday indeed. Sleepy waves. I hear a baby in the background. Realize it's your cats. Yeah, it's my kitty cats. They just woke up. I was hoping they were gonna sleep through the stream, but they just woke up, and I can't let them out in the patio. Sal escaped this morning. He jumped onto the roof in the patio. So after the stream, before the next stream starts, I'm gonna go out there and put fence on the outside so kitty cats can't escape, right? For their safety, really, for their safety. A third aggression, a reboot Candyman horror. Oh, is that what it is? Ah, cool. Reboot Candyman horror. I like Candyman. It was scary, the first one, right? Nick, Walking Dead advert before Chycho's video. Laugh out loud. Weird for ASMR. That's nice. Maybe they're linking up. They might be linking it up to the comic books, right? Who knows how the automation works? Who knows how the automation works? Sometimes, I mean, I learned. Check this out. I personally, advertisement. I'm neither here nor there, right? There's like I don't watch stuff that puts ads in the middle. So for my videos on CensorTube, because they're rolling out all this censorship and all this stuff and deducting 24 and all this jazz, I decided to start adding on after 24 or 48 hours. I'm putting mid-roll ads in my videos on CensorTube, and in the description I'm telling people, if you want to view this video without advertisements, go to the video sharing, free speech video sharing platforms, Rumble, Odyssey, and BitChute, right? So I'm giving an out for people not to watch advertisements, right? But one thing I do appreciate about ads, sometimes you get a little sweetness in there, right? I had one person, because I roll front roll ads on the videos on CensorTube. I've done that for a long time, right? But I had one person comment like a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, that they watched Resident Evil live advertisement before my video started. I was like, Resident Evil? What? I'm a Resident Evil junkie. I love my Resident Evil, right? And that's how I found out that there was a Resident Evil animated new movie that had come out that I didn't know about it. So, you know, advertisement did provide me something through third party. That was good, right? Mom time, Cheryl. It was awesome. Mom and grandma time. Sleepy Wave Chycho. Can you talk more about politics, or are we solely just focusing on? We're gonna mainly focus on Julian Assange. But look, gang, we're putting 4 streams together today and tomorrow for Julian Assange, and politics in the Western world, politics and economics in the Western world is linked up with the fate of Julian Assange. Julian Assange is the center of what's taking place right now in our part of the world. If you're watching this from the Western part, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, United States, UK, if people have to grasp this, Julian Assange is the focal point of inverted totalitarian regimes. Some would call them fascist dictatorships, right? Like fascism, full-on fascism taking over the Western world, and Julian Assange is the center of it. Okay, so the fate of Julian Assange basically will decide our fate for the next few decades, really. Okay, short of what Howard Zinn stated, that there's never a need for war, there's only need for insurrection. Okay, keep that in mind. there's a reason why I really focus on Julian Assange, because he matters, right? Figures it would be Sal. It's I know he's a great cat. Oh, amazing. Evening all, salute Nafasat, how are you doing? Hey Chicho, namasta. Kyle M. Parker, Joe Chicho. Indoor cats seem to be a lot more common in North America. Here in the UK, most people have cat flaps and let their cats come and go as they please. Yeah, we used to have these are exclusively indoor cats that we have, but we had an outdoor cat that he would come and go as he liked. He had a flap at a couple of previous places we were at, but when we were here, he would just go sit at the door and go meow, and we'd go open the door and let him out. And when he wanted in, he would come meow or scratch at the door, and we let him in, right? So but one thing I heard, I read that domestic cats, if there's a lot of domestic cats that are being let out in the neighborhood, what that does, it decimates the bird population, the indigenous bird population in that vicinity. So it's actually supposed to be a good idea just to have indoor cats. I'm on the sidelines. I'm okay with both, right? And we have a lot of cats here in our neighborhood, like a lot of cats, and these guys are just kittens still, so they won't be able to handle themselves against some of the more vicious cats that we have in the neighborhood. There's some badass cats here. They fight like big too. Sal and Vio could run really fast, but they couldn't fight. They're not even a year old yet. Dragons Chicho, before the discussion on Assange begins, what's your thoughts on the situation in Afghanistan? Did the US pull out too quick? Are they making the right decision to go back? Lions, everybody, just before we begin, I gave my take on Afghanistan in yesterday afternoon stream, and I'll upload that segment on our video sharing platform. But basically, when the decision was made to go into Afghanistan in 2001, right, and not even after 9/11, it was made before 9/11, right? It was a build up to it, and we talked about this, right, in yesterday's stream. But as soon as officially they came out and said we're going to go occupy Afghanistan, anybody that knew anything about the world and situation and all that, what happens? What was going to happen was, we all knew that there was going to be a Saigon moment, right? That United States was going to hightail it out of there. Did the United States pull out too quickly? No, the United States should have never gone into Afghanistan. Okay, NATO should never have occupied Afghanistan. So it's a non-point really, because they were there without cause. Really, some people say, "Oh, we want Osama bin Laden." Blah 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 blah. Bullshit. You were fed bullshit. If you believe that all that stuff, all the reasons they gave for them to go into Afghanistan, you were lied to. You were duped. Okay. Now, people have to really think about why it is they actually believe that bullshit. Right? I had people back then tell me, "Oh, Afghanistan is a shithole. There's nothing there anyway." I turned to them. I go, then why the hell do you think NATO is occupying Afghanistan? You think they're there to free the women? Does NATO give a rat's ass about women's lib? Are they there to kill Osama bin Laden, their own operatives that they paid for? No, the United States went into Afghanistan for resources, for power, to control Eurasia, to be in the heart of Eurasia, have a peace, have a stake in the game, right? Foolish. What a bunch of morons. Okay. So no, they didn't pull out too quickly. They should have never gone in. And the situation in Afghanistan is what it was going to be. Unfortunately, there's going to be a bloodbath. There's going to be a hunt for, unfortunately, there's going to be a bloodbath, because any collaborators that helped the NATO forces suppress, kill, rob Afghanistan of its resources, of its people, of 20 years of its life, there's going to be a cleansing, right? Collaborators in all wars, any nation, any people that collaborate with occupying forces, are their fate is guaranteed what it's going to be. If it's not theirs, then it's going to be their children's, right? Citizens of a country, especially those that resist, will never forget who the collaborators were in their nations, and those collaborators will pay the price, right? Will pay a price. Unfortunately, it's going to be a bloodbath. Okay. Okay, I'm scrolling down, gang. Sleepaway Chycho, how do you manage to edit and upload so many videos to your YouTube? I work my ass off, Sleepy Waves. And even managing managing the ads, so much to do. Do you use some sort of program to organize? Like, how do you keep tabs on everything? I just do. And I work my ass off, Sleepy Waves. I love it, but it takes a lot of work to do what I do. And on that note, if you appreciate this work, supporting this work on Patreon, I'll finish off the intro and then we get into the stuff, right? Support this work on Patreon, gang. For those of you that are supporting this work on Patreon, thank you very much for the support, gang. Couldn't do this without you guys, and I appreciate it very much. And that's all I got to say, really. And we are live streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/chycho live, ChychoLive. If you want to participate in these live streams, Twitch is where you want to be at, gang. Thank you for the support on Twitch. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the discussion. And mods, thank you for taking care of business. I do announce these live streams 30 minutes before we go live on Minds, VK Gap, Parlor, BitClout, and Getter. And we do have a Discord page where people are sharing a lot of information. Thank you very much, MicroTwist, for this, for the subscribing. We do have a Discord page. The link is down there. You can come to our Twitch channel anytime you want. Type in !social, and those links will pop up, including the Discord page. You can do the same with !Discord, and it will pop up that link. For live streams where we don't have videos, watching videos and visuals, which we do today, we do upload the audio to soundcloud.com/chycho, CHYCHO as a podcast, and those podcasts should be available on your favorite podcasting platform, including Spotify and iTunes. For those of you that are watching this little short segment, because this is going to be a little segment that I'm going to be pulling out as an intro to this live stream on CensorTube. For those of you that are going to be watching this little 1 minute, 2 minute intro segment, today is August 15th, 2021. I'm pretty sure we're going to upload the whole thing, but just in case the discussion takes us some places that we shouldn't go, so far we're good. But I think, I've told myself that I'm going to upload all the Julian Assange and WikiLeaks live streams that we do on CensorTube, then be the censors, whatever happens, right? So the odds are the full stream will be on CensorTube. Okay, just in case, if you only see this little 2 minute segment, the full stream will be on BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey. Okay, aside from that, gang, thank you for all the support on all those platforms. I appreciate it very much. It is because of the collective support we get on these platforms that we're able to do what it is that we are doing. Aside from that, let's get down to business. I'm just going to read some of the things that are directed towards me ASAP, and then we're going to focus on Julian Assange, gang. How would you define fascism? Is it solely just the state privatizing everything? No, to me fascism is inverted totalitarian fascism. That's where we are right now. We're inverted totalitarian fascist regimes governed under, right? We need to have expand our definitions and stuff like this, right? To me, fascism is very simple. When the centralized government dictates how you as an individual must function, must interact with life, right? When they take away all your liberty, all your freedom, all your free speech, when they stomp on your face, to me that is fascism. Do you want to call it dictatorship? Call it dictatorship. Call it capitalism? Call it capitalism. Call it socialism? Call it socialism. To me, any central power that decides how every single individual human being should live, function, how they should think, what they should eat, what they can say, to me that is fascism. And that is where we are right now. Okay, now academically, academics can sit all day, decide the nuances of the different words, right? But to me, I'm picking one of the strongest words that I know to get it across to people that we're living in fucking fascist states. Okay, Parker, thank you very much for the sub. Morning, buddy. Lark Bark, good morning. Scrolling down. Joe, Chycho, I think our cat is the bully of the neighborhood. Our veterinarian suspect he's part of Maine Coon due to his size and shape of his ears. He also seems to be decimating local wildlife all by himself. Yeah, unfortunately. Sleepy Waves, Automod zap something, so I'm gonna allow that. And what do? I micro twist. I'm late. What do you do? I do this. I teach math. I collect comic books. I eat food. I share my thoughts. I create content. I eat cookies and cakes, and I play with my kitty cats. Parker, Chycho, I've seen your educational streams, but I didn't know you were an independent thinker like this. I have to support. Thank you very much, Parker. Kyle M. Parker, appreciate the tier 1 sub. Fascism is the threat. What happened with my Sal? Sal escaped the patio. He jumped down to the lower roof. So after the stream, I'm gonna go put up the fence. Okay, put up sort of, I already set it up for them, like the catio I built and stuff. So I have a little bit of fencing left, so I'm gonna go close off the area where he escaped. He's an escape artist. He's so cool. Love your plans. Thank you very much, gang. Let's do a little go into full-on Julian Assange. We're about 22 minutes in. I got 2 videos that I want to cover in this stream. Okay, one of them is an update on what's going on with Julian Assange, and it's going to be a video that the Duran put out. Okay, and it's a 16-minute 17-minute video. Okay, and it gives us a nice update of what's going on with Julian Assange. They're fighting. Sal's picking on Via. I was like, what the hell? So it's a little 16-minute video, short 16-minute video, where we get a update on what's going on with Julian Assange, because this week in the US clown circus court, the clown show that it is, the UK is complete fascism now. It's garbage. There is no rule of law in the UK. You got oligarchs fighting amongst each other to see who's going to control the citizens of the UK. Same thing with United States and Canada, Western world in general, right? Some places the infighting is less. In the UK it's a lot more. The oligarchs, man, they're like Caesar level, Neo level, Caligula level. In the US they're Caligula level. Oligarchs vying for control of the state, right? It's crazy. Thank you very much for the follow. There's now I have the earphones on. I can see what's going on. Darcy, appreciate the follow. So it's a circus. It's a show trial. So this week during a show trial, the court said yes, the United States can appeal the decision of sending Julian Assange, extraditing Julian Assange to the United States to be tortured even more, right? Unbelievable, right? So 16 minutes have given us an update as what's going on, and then we're gonna watch one of the episodes at least of Julian Assange's World Tomorrow. You guys decide which one you guys want to watch. Okay, what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna send you guys the links here. Let me send you the link for the playlist on CensorTube, and I provided the RT one as well. It's just the CensorTube fits better. Okay, I'm going to allow that. Sweden and Sweden too. What a like unbelievable. This is the playlist on CensorTube. Take a look at that. Decide which one of these you want to watch. Okay, I've seen all of them. Some of these I've watched. The the hacking stuff, the two-parter, I've watched those 3 times, right? Some of these I've watched twice. So I think a couple of them I only watched once, right? These were put out in 2012. Okay, so 2012, Julian Assange did these live streams, 12 episodes, phenomenal, well worth watching. Okay, but first thing we're going to do, we're going to watch this thing, and I'm going to change my angle view here. Okay, and I'm going to turn off the chat on the screen because it's going to be on the side here. So I'm going to take this camera out. Thank you, Meta Dragons, for the subscribe. I appreciate the tier 1 sub. Let me take this down. Doop. So we're going to do this view. Okay, and the chat's going to be right here on the side here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill the chat on the screen. That way we can just watch the videos without the thingamajiggy. And this is the video we're going to be watching. This is the video we're going to be watching by the Duran. Okay, let me make sure this is laid out properly. Yeah, you guys can see that fine. Here, actually, I can kick it up a notch. Oop, kick it down a notch. There we go. Get their Duran symbol on there. And if you wanna follow world events, what's going on in the world, the Duran is a good place to get your information, gang. Okay, it's a good place to get your information. Let's keep that there. That's good enough. That works. Here, we'll kick it up just a little bit more. Get their name on there, just so people, when they ask who it is working. There we go. Okay, so unless there is, let me see. I'm off back to one of your viewers. Have a good stream. Thank you very much, Darcy. Hope to see you again, and thank you very much for the follow, for the sub. Okay, appreciate it. So gang, let's watch this thing. It's 16 minutes, gives us an update of what's going on. I'm going to turn off my mic. I'm going to turn on the display sound so we hear the video. Okay, we'll continue with the discussion. I'll come back after this. We'll talk a little bit if you guys want to discuss it, and then go to Julian Assange's world tomorrow and decide which one we're going to watch. Okay, and later on we'll discuss it as well. Okay, so that's turned on. I'm going to turn off my audio.
Health, which she
all right, Alexander, let's do a follow-up as to what's going on. With Assange, we have some developments, bad developments. Looks like the U.S. yesterday or 2 days ago, full spectrum victory across the board, the United States government.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that's exactly what's happened. And I have to say that for the first time since the court back in January decided that Assange should not be extradited to the US. You remember there was that long hearing last year, and the judge, to everybody's surprise, said in January that he should not be extradited, basically for health reasons. I now am starting to think that the odds are turning against him, and that it's likely that in October the High Court is going to say that the judge was wrong, and is going to say that he should or at least perhaps not say that he should be extradited, but they will throw it back to the judge, say that she's got to reconsider the decision, say that the issues about his health, which she took up, were she was wrong about them, and that makes it much more likely now that he will be extradited to the US. Can I explain very briefly what happened? The US appealed the decision in January. They appealed on two grounds. One was that the judge didn't give them a chance to give all kinds of assurances about how Assange would be treated if he was sent to the US. I don't think anybody takes that ground particularly seriously. The other ground is that the judge got it completely wrong when she decided that Assange has health issues and is a possible suicide risk. And the reason was that the judge based her evidence on the evidence of an expert, Professor Kopelman, and the High Court has now said, and that was the important part of its decision yesterday, that this evidence of Professor Kopelman, this expert, may not be fully reliable, and therefore it may be that that decision by the judge to assess that Assange has health issues, which mean that he should not be extradited to the US, that whole area should be reconsidered. Now, it's a very, very bad blow because, of course, if this whole issue is reopened and the court does indeed go back into examining the issue of Assange's health, then as night follows day, the US will come to the court and will say all these assurances that it should have made before but didn't, about the fact that, that he's going to be treated very well if he goes to the United States. He's not going to be sent to any of these really harsh and strong security prisons. He can even be sent to Australia to be looked after there. And I'm afraid it's highly likely in that case that whatever judge decides the question is going to accept those assurances and will decide to extradite Assange to the United States. So I'm afraid yesterday's decision was a big one. It was an important one. It shows that the United States is simply not giving up where Assange is concerned. They won a big victory, and I'm afraid it's changed the whole balance and direction of the case in a way that I'm afraid makes it much more likely now that he will be extradited and sent to the United States.
Yeah, I mean, now we know why they were holding Assange without any reason to hold him. I mean, this was all planned and colluded. That's how it seems to me. It seems like the UK government and the US government, as well as the courts in the UK, they needed to find a way to hold Assange so that they could figure out how to extradite him.
I'm going to say what a lot of people are saying here, and that's that a deal has been done. That a deal was done whereby, as I said, the health issue would be brought up. It would then be set aside. It would be then put to one side, and then there would be a hearing. The court would say, well, the health issues are not so serious after all, and that the US then gives all its assurances, which are not worth the paper they're written on, and he's packed off to the United States. The British government then washes its hands of him, and of course, when the United States goes back on its assurances, as everybody expects, the British will say, well, it's not our problem anymore. He's not a British citizen. He's an Australian citizen. If he wants to complain about it, he needs to go and contact Australia and ask Australia to help him. So it looks to many people, and, I've been talking to a lot of people, as if some kind of a deal has been done. And it's really, really disturbing to see developments turn out the way that they have. I would add, by the way, that the reason the court is now saying that this evidence of this witness, Professor Kopelman, is unreliable is because in an early witness statement, a very early witness statement that he lodged, he didn't disclose the fact that Assange was in a relationship with one of his lawyers, a woman called Stella Morris, and that he had 2 children by her. And subsequently, he did disclose it, and it was disclosed to the court by Stella Morris herself. And all of that was done many months before the trial that took place last year. So there's no evidence that there was any real attempt to conceal anything. And the judge who decided the case at the beginning of this year, Judge Baritza, knew all about that. She knew about the fact that this fact hadn't been included in the first witness statement. She knew all about everything that was related to it. She said that was an entirely understandable human decision, that the family wanted their privacy. And she said that she didn't think that changed the weight, the significance of Professor Kopelman's evidence at all. And now the High Court has said that might all be wrong, even though they've admitted in that hearing yesterday that what they have done is extremely unusual. In other words, second guess the trial judge's assessment of a witness. So it's very disturbing. It makes everybody extremely worried. And one person who was there at the hearing yesterday, or at least to be precise, who was attending virtually, has told me that it was striking to see how the judge who decided the case yesterday, Lord Justice Holroyd, was listening very attentively when the counsel who represented the United States was speaking, but that he looked extremely uneasy and vacant and inattentive when Assange's lawyer was speaking. So there was already a huge difference in the sort of dynamics of it. And I'm afraid many, many people have come to exactly the conclusion that you have done.
Okay, so there were reports coming out from the hearing that Assange also looked terrible. I mean, he's completely depleted. Like, just he looked really, really bad. Those were the reports coming out. I don't know. We don't have any video or any footage, so we can't say anything. But those are the reports coming out about Assange's health, that it's very, very bad. I know that we've done shows where we know that if he does get extradited to the United States, he's going to have a great team of lawyers and legal counsel and a lot of people pulling for him. But my thinking is that any requests made to the Australian government are just going to fall on deaf ears. Australia is completely compromised. The government doesn't care about their own citizen. They've made it very clear. They're going to just basically say, you know what, US, you have Assange, keep Assange, do what you want with Assange. We don't care, even though he's our citizen. Australia's completely out of the picture. The UK is, like you said, is going to wash their hands of Assange. And the United States, even though Assange is going to have a lot of great, capable people and organizations fighting for him in the United States, the way things have become right now, I fear that it's just not going to be even remotely enough to save Assange or to even get Assange a free trial, if that's even asking so much, because he didn't get a free trial in the US, in the UK. Just even getting a free trial in the US is all, we could be asking for, but I don't even think he's going to get that. Looking at the collusion between big tech, government, mainstream media, they're going to disappear Assange. They're going to censor any reporting of Assange. It's just going to be game over, and the message is going to be sent. The message is going to be sent. Here it is. We can deplatform a president. We can deplatform senators. We can disappear journalists. Full dominance. We run the show. We control everything. Don't you dare cross us. Don't you dare speak poorly of us. Don't go against the ideology. The courts are compromised. Free speech is compromised. Technology is controlled and owned by us. Lockdowns, restrictions. This is where it is all leading to, and Assange is an important piece to that puzzle. Shut him down, shut him up, disappear him. And the UK, Australia, the US are all in complete collusion with this plan.
I not only agree, I would add, of course, that you missed out the other piece of the puzzle, which is all this secrets legislation which we're seeing in Britain, which is clearly designed to make the kind of reporting that Assange did completely impossible. I mean, somebody who does that in Britain today and leaks information the British government considers classified would go to prison for 14 years and would have no public interest defence. So we can already see the drift that everything is going to. Now, he would have an absolutely stellar legal team in the United States. He'd have a better legal team, a stronger legal team in the United States, I think, than the one he has here. That's not to deprecate the quality of his legal team here, but that in the US is going to be even better. But, you know, you can have the judgment of Solomon and, you know, the skill of, whomever, the greatest lawyer ever. If you're up against a system that is structured to convict you, what realistically can you do? And given that in the case of Michael Flynn, for example, which we were talking about so much and so often, it proved impossible, even after the Justice Department decided that there was no case against him and wanted the case dropped. It proved impossible to get the judge in the case to simply acquit him. I mean, what chance does someone like Assange have in a case in the United States? I would say none. And I've made comparisons in the past between the Assange case and the Dreyfus affair in France. And there are many similarities. But look also at the differences. The Dreyfus affair in France in the 19th century was one of the big events. People were talking about it in the cafes. It was all in the newspapers. People were arguing about it in their homes, divided families. The Assange case barely gets a mention. This huge decision was just made, and there are just a few little paragraphs, squirreled away about it in the British newspapers. None of them discuss the case in any seriousness. Amnesty International produces a sort of mealy-mouthed statement very late in the day. Judge just ignores it. The media doesn't even report it. And given that this is so, I mean, we are living in very dark times. And it's exactly as you said, they are getting darker. And this decision yesterday that we saw in the High Court, which, by the way, once upon a time, I could not even have conceived of. I mean, to be straightforward about it, this appeal, in my opinion, should never have been granted permission at all. The grounds of appeal are beyond threadbare. Anyway, the fact that this appeal is progressing as it is must fill one with deep foreboding for the future.
Yeah. All the people in the media, you mentioned the UK media wasn't reporting on this. To all the people in the UK media, you think you're in the good graces of the machine? You think that they like you now? Just wait. When they get rid of Assange, and then they turn their eyes towards you.
Absolutely.
They're going to be the first people they go after, not us. They're going to go after the useful idiots, because it's the useful idiot that they're going to be most afraid of. And the people in the media, the mainstream media, better understand that, because what they've done is absolutely abhorrent. But they're going to be the first people that the machine goes after once it disposes of this Assange problem.
It's abhorrent and it's stupid, because you're absolutely right. Because from the point of view of the people who wield the power, the deep state, if you like, whatever you want to call it. I mean, what people do on independent and alternative media, well, they can harass it, they can squeeze it to any extent that they can, but because they're able to do those things, it doesn't have the traction and the coverage that what the big traditional legacy media outlets do. They will want those totally out under their thumb. And any journalist working for those kind of media channels, those big media channels, who steps out of line in the slightest way is going to face the most severe consequences, because they will not want that to slip out of their control, and no amount of control when you onto this sort of machine is ever enough. They will always demand more, even beyond what these people in media can give them. So you're absolutely right. You're entirely right on all counts. I have to say, it is very disturbing, but also, I suppose, interesting to see how this thing is playing out. But I mean, it's beyond distressing also.
Yeah. Well, not me. Yuri Bezimov spelled this all out long time ago.
Well, to be perfectly straightforward about it, it's what the KGB was up to in in Russia, in the Soviet Union in his days. I mean, I think we're going. Well, I think what we're starting to see is something going beyond that now. I mean, you literally have to go back to the 30s, to the great trials that took place there, to start seeing something as dark as what we're seeing emerge today.
All right, we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Take care.
Okay, back. Let me turn on. I forgot to turn off the chat on the video, but that's okay. So I thought that was informative. That gave a good summary of what's going on. Okay, let me bring up my chat so I can read this stuff. Parker, Kyle M. Parker. I can see a Clinton suicide in Assange's future. He knows too much. He can expose the globalists. Epstein, McAfee, Assange, all had dirt on the globalists. Yeah, my thing is, Julian Assange, without a doubt, has a kill switch. There's no, I'm pretty sure. I don't think that kill switch has been triggered yet. I personally don't want to see the kill switch triggered, because that means Assange has been taken out, either on his way to the United States or has been suicided or whatever, because I want Assange to live. But the saying is, God help those people who take Assange out, because the devil won't. Really, they're in for a ride, because Assange is the canary in the coal mine, and if they take out Assange, and they're trying their hardest to make sure Assange dies in prison, that way there won't be an uproar. If Assange is eliminated, there's going to be 10,000 Assanges pouring on and just shutting things down. That's my guess. Okay, go first. Yuri Bezmenov. That's a name I've been trying to recall for a while. I think that's the guy that did the interview where he said what the KGB did, how they control media, how they control things. This is the future of the Western world. We're past that now, right? Cheryl. But I don't know that just being the spokesperson always automatically means puppet. Often yes, but maybe not always. I agree with Cheryl. Obama decided many things. Who to kill in the mornings, right? Who to kill in the mornings. Trump decided certain things, right? The main things he couldn't do, right? he didn't do, right? All those people, Trump was, no, he had 4 years to do his shit. Last few months he decides to do some of that shit? No, he should have done them in the first year, right? So puppet, however, they do have some control, as Cheryl says, my opinion as well. Monopoly, money launderer. So this evil we, you guys say, is for government all around the world apart from the US. Yeah, they exist everywhere. Canada has the we, Australia has the we. The we's differ a little bit, right? In the United States, you're seeing serious factions fighting against each other. To a certain degree, they're putting on a facade of fighting against each other, but I think there is actually conflict within the United States, within the top ranks, how to go about things, right? In the UK as well, but UK is one party system, same with the United States, but UK even more so now. Australia is just a shithole now, right? I cannot believe the Australian people are allowing, like, just, I mean, I realize your guns were taken away and all that jazz, but there's something to be said about millions of people hitting the streets, right? But Australia is full on fascist, dictatorial totalitarianism, right? Liberals are retarded. Thank you very much for the follow. Hilarious. Definitely the porridge and Scrooge's bowl. Yeah, porridge and Scrooge's bowl. That's who was that? That's the clown in the UK. Porridge, Scrooge. Whatever his name is, Boris Johnson. That joke. I'm very concerned about Assange. Me too, Lark Bark. Me too. Me too. Wait, McAfee too? McAfee had a kill switch supposedly that went off, but they dampened it, right? Maybe it was too complicated. Anyone that says they're gonna release information in the future, they should be releasing it immediately. With Assange, I can see why he's doing it. With McAfee, I could see why he would have done it, because he had a target on his back, right? Assange has a target on his forehead, back, front, all over the place, right? Julian, the elder god, Julian's death will fire the freedom warriors. Indeed, indeed. Cheryl, chycho, do you feel that it is possible to have society without a we, or will we always rise up? No, I think it's possible to have a society where we the people, not we the deep state, we the oligarchs, right? There is definitely the possibility. We have that chance right now, right, to create societies where the society decides how that society, country should function, right? So for example, Canada just ran a census, right? I gave this example once before, but I'll give it again, right? It was a while ago. So the country runs a census. It should be 100% anonymous, right? But the census in Canada wasn't. They want your name, who lives with, like they want. It's like Gestapo. Really, it's crazy, absurd. It's like people have been dumbed down to a level that they have no idea about history, right? So countries should run census, right? Cities should run census, anonymous, through cryptocurrency, not crypto, blockchain technology. You can guarantee its integrity, right? Through blockchain, guarantee the integrity, run census, and ask people what they want in their cities and in their countries, right? So for example, clothing optional beaches. Let's take something benign as clothing optional beaches, right? Let's say 10% of the population wants clothing optional beaches, or in a city, in a province, in a state, in a country, doesn't matter, right? Then 10% of the beaches in that city, in that province, in that country should be clothing optional. Why aren't they, right? Right now in Canada, 20 years, for 30, 20, let's say for 20 years minimum, majority of Canadians by a long shot, like 65, 70%, had wanted cannabis legalized, right? Why wasn't cannabis legalized? Because we had fanatics in power, okay? That's where we're at. I think we can do it. We just have to have the will, right? Doris the clown. Monopoly money launderer. Oh, Sal going crazy. Oh, I read about McAfee rat life in childhood, and he seemed a cool dude. I think he had his main issues as well. He pulled some bullshit, right? McAfee and Julian Assange, different level. McAfee was very self-concerned. He cared about society functioning, was libertarian, wanted to do this and stuff. But for McAfee came first. Julian Assange is a different game, man. Julian Assange is sacrificing himself for humanity. Different game. This is crucifying. This is the murder of Christ, right? Okay. Joe, chycho, I think we're about to have a big debate about guns here in the UK after the shooting that happened a couple of days ago. Yeah, I heard. They want to take your guns away. UK is full on fascism. Okay, man, the Legend Smith, how are you doing? Sal is having balcony nightmares. Oh my god, he wants escape. He wants escape. Gang, check this out. Did you guys check out the playlist? Let me get on my screen capture again. Decide which one of these you guys want to watch. Okay. Let me take this down. Let me bring this up. Okay. This is Hassan Nasrallah. Okay. Hezbollah, Lebanon, Syria. Okay. So this is Middle East related. Okay. Slovak Zajek and David Horowitz about society, episode number 2. Okay, how our society should be functioned. Monsef Marzokowi, this is Tunisia's president. Okay, I believe. We got Nabil Rajab and Al Ad El Fattah. Okay, Egypt and Bahrain. Okay. This is Surviving Guantanamo. I forget who this interview was with. Okay. Rafael Correa. Okay, the person, Ecuador president, got ousted. Puppet leader put in after Correa. Ecuador gutted. Okay. How many $billion payout for them to grab Julian Assange out of the Ecuadorian embassy? Correa was protecting Julian Assange. Okay. The Occupy movement, episode number 7. Okay. My 2 favorites are Cyberpunks Part 1 and Cyberpunks Part 2. Really talks about digital technology and where we're going and where we're headed. Okay. Imar Khan, Pakistan. Okay. Noam Chomsky and Tariq Ali, 2 of the best well-known thinkers in the Western world anyway. Okay. Anwar Ebrahimi is the final episode. Anwar Ebrahimi is oh man, okay, hold on a second. Anwar Ebrahimi is Malaysia. Okay. And this is in 2012. Okay. And then you have the extended versions of the Cyberpunks uncut, Part 1 and Part 2. I've watched these as well. Well worth watching, gang. Well worth watching. I'm going to look at chat. Which one do you guys want to watch? Which one do you guys want to watch? Yeah, Real Problem UK. Smith, I don't know he had a YouTube. He put out these 12 episodes in 2012, I believe. Important episodes, really defining where we are right now. Okay, Parker, on a positive note, I believe there will always be pockets of freedom no matter how fascist the world becomes, and free societies have a major advantage over fascist regimes. Think about the 300 free Spartans versus the Persian slave army. Noam Chomsky, Meta Dragon says Noam Chomsky. So Noam Chomsky and Tariq Ali, is that what we want, gang? Is the society only fairly general? Could be a good starting point. Could be a good starting. If you're talking about the census, what I mentioned, Cheryl, it would be amazing. Yes, I hope so. So yeah, the open places. Come here, Sal. Mick, did you hear about the English national that said he was bored, so decided to travel to Kabul, Afghanistan, for laughs during the Taliban takeover? He's been live streaming on Twitch today from Kabul. Claims he shook hands with Taliban, shared food with the locals. Really, man, I wish him well. Hopefully he does okay. A Japanese person did that in Iraq during the invasion of Iraq, and they beheaded him. Taliban won't. Taliban will be friendly to anyone that is friendly with them, as long as you respect them. The collaborators, they're doomed. Okay, and anyone else that stays there that is trying to mess around with Afghanistan again, they're doomed. Okay. Makim sends Chomsky as well. I believe America is a puppet too. Possibly, yes. Hey, Chycho Zare, how you doing? Chomsky is ASMR to my brain. Chomsky it is, gang. We got 3 people saying Chomsky. Tariq Ali and Chomsky. And I've watched Chomsky speak as well. He's very ASMR, puts me to sleep, even in a weird way, hypnotic kind of way. I'm in for the census one as well. Yeah, Meta Dragons, I think that's a great way to do it. Cheryl, no, I'm sorry. The video that you said speaks about society. I can't recall the guest. Oh, the Zizinski, Slovak Zinski and David Horowitz. We can watch this if we have time. Well, we might not have time, but we can put this up for the 2 o'clock viewing, Cheryl. So we can do that on 2 o'clock. So, gang, let's go into, where was it? What the hell? Where's Chomsky? There it is. Chomsky and Tariq Ali. Let me do this. And the sound is going to be okay, but I'm going to play this right now. Oh, wait, where do we go? Oops. Oh, come on. How's the sound, gang? Is the sound still okay? Do I need to kick up the volume? Hold on, let me kick up the volume full. How's the sound, gang? Sound okay? It's just all the, yeah, Cheryl, you will love these. Fantastic. Chomsky is Krishnamurti. If Krishnamurti has an energy drink. Haha, Zare. That's funny, actually. Super funny. But for me, Krishnamurti superior to Chomsky. Much superior to Chomsky. Okay. We hear no audio. Oh, did I turn? Okay, hold on. Oops, sorry. Ding dong 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 dong. Oh, where's my thing? Let me turn on the audio because I turned it off. That's why. So I'm gonna hit this again.
Expose the world's secrets.
These documents belong to the United States government.
Been attacked by the powerful.
United States strong.
How's the audio? How's the audio? Chomsky is micro twist says I'm gonna allow that. He knows his history well on certain things. Micro twist. Audio perfect. Audio perfect. Okay, gang. Let's do this. Let me make sure this is yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. I'm gonna turn off my audio and we're gonna start watching. Okay. Whoa, I missed something. Smith, where did you see astrology? Sounds fascinating. Oh, I missed something too. Okay, I'm turning off my audio. We're gonna watch this. I'll keep an eye on chat. Let me turn off chat on the screen as well. Bum bum ba-da-dum, bum bum bum. Chat turned off. Where's our notifications anyway? Oh, notifications are on my face. Let's move the notifications over here. Chat's turned off on the screen because we got this thing going. Okay, gang, let's turn this off.
I'm Julian Assange.
Roger, I'll get you into strength.
Editor of WikiLeaks. We've exposed the world's secrets.
These documents belong to the United States government.
Been attacked by the powerful.
United States strongly condemns.
Hey, quit asking questions. He broke the law.
Illegally shoot the son of a...
For 500 days now, I've been detained without charge. But that hasn't stopped us.
Mike Cat.
Today, we're on a quest for revolutionary ideas that can change the world tomorrow. During the last 2 years, new forms of revolution have been forged. Today, I speak to 2 giants of the intellectual left, Noam Chomsky, the renowned linguist and rebel thinker, Tariq Ali, street-fighting novelist and military historian. I want to find out what these 2 activist stalwarts think. Where is the world going? Where should it go? Noam, Tariq, 2011-2012 has been a historic year for liberation movements in many places across the world. Did you see it coming?
I didn't see it coming. I don't think most people saw it coming. But what's interesting is that you have these Arab uprisings in a part of the world which commentators were saying people aren't interested in democracy. the Muslims are genetically hostile to democracy. And you have these upsurges, and then they spread. Because it's the occupation of Tahrir Square in Cairo that inspired activists all over the United States, even in Russia. Who would have expected these movements suddenly to come up in Russia and challenge authority? So the Arab Spring has been very infectious, and it's still going on in different ways.
Noam Chomsky.
No, I can't say I predicted it. I assumed that sooner or later there would have to be a popular reaction to the bitter class war that's been fought for the past generation, a very conscious class war which has, of the always quite class-conscious business classes, but really felt they were on a roll. So in the United States, for example, well, we all know the facts. Over the past generation, there's been wealth created, but it's gone into very few pockets. The extreme inequality in the United States is weighted very heavily by literally 0.1% of the population, mostly hedge fund managers, CEOs of major corporations, and so on. I've been talking about the United States, but the phenomena are basically worldwide. Take, say, Egypt, one of the most exciting places. The movement that started off the Tahrir Square demonstrations a year ago is called the April 6th movement. There's a reason. April 6th, 2008 was the day of large-scale labor protests at the major industrial installations in Egypt, supporting demonstrations and so on. There was a small group of tech-savvy professionals who wanted to participate and help them out with social media and so on. It was crushed by the dictatorship, but that group of professionals is the April 6th movement. They kept the name. That's one indication of how deeply rooted these protests are. Yes, there were people ready. A lot of people. For many, it was just a moment of an opening, which we can somehow do something. But there was plenty of preparation for it. There's something similar in Tunisia. You asked if I predicted it. No, I didn't. But it's now happening worldwide in one form or another.
Tariq? I think Noam is right, and I think essentially what we've been witnessing, together with the neoliberal economy, is a contraction of politics, in the sense that I've been arguing now for some time that what we have in Western politics is neither the extreme left nor the extreme right, but an extreme center. And this extreme center encompasses both center-right and center-left, which agree on fundamentals: waging wars abroad, occupying countries, and punishing the poor, pushing through austerity measures. It doesn't matter which party is in power, either in the United States or in the Western world. Things, carry on like before. There's continuity from one regime to the next, which affects the functioning of the media, which has become more and more narrow. So there's very little diversity, very few debates constructed within the mainstream media. And that is a big characteristic now. It's a dictatorship of capital, which is exercised through this extreme center. The Arab countries had dictators backed by the West for some time, and the speed and scale of those uprisings certainly took everyone by surprise. None of us could have predicted it.
Do you think that the lack of predictability, in fact, is part of why they were successful? that if they could have been predicted, mechanisms would have been put in place to stop it happening.
Yeah, and pretty extreme mechanisms. They would have tried to arrest people, crush people, torture people, lock activists up, but it went out of control very rapidly. And the United States and the French in Tunisia and Egypt, for instance, couldn't control it. I mean, they were taken by surprise too. I mean, they only got their act together to try and subvert the process when they had a 6-month bombing of Libya by a NATO thing, so they could exercise some control on the entire Arab world again. But it's still incredibly volatile. And, you know, sometimes people say, but nothing much has changed. This is true, but one thing has changed is that the people, the masses, have realized that in order to bring about change, they have to move and become active. And that is a big lesson from these uprisings.
I want to consider how much choice there really is. Is the choice illusory, or do new regimes have to deal with the situation that is around them, the basic constraints in dealing with other nations? Would you, for example, knowing that Cuba was 90 miles away from Miami, 90 miles away from an aggressive superpower that is broadcasting propaganda into Cuba, introduce censorship? Would you introduce state police as a way of preventing the removal of independence from Cuba? Because it seems to me that these are the questions that are going to have to be faced by nations that are struggling not only to overthrow their rulers, but to be independent as a nation from Western powers afterwards.
Well, Cuba is a very special case, so I mean, to some extent it has characteristics like other small countries, but it is unique. For 50 years, the United States has been dedicated to strangling and crushing Cuba.
Yep.
And Kennedy's Latin American advisor said the problem is the Castro idea of taking matters into your own hands, which might lead others in similar circumstances to try to follow that path, and pretty soon the whole system of U.S. control would erode. So for those reasons which persist, the United States has carried out, first of all, a massive terror campaign. Cuba's been the victim of more terror than probably the whole world combined in international terror. And beyond that, economic strangulation of an extraordinary sort.
If you are a population that wants to be independent, that wants an independent state, we might talk about other forms of independence later, but an independent state in defiance of NATO, or if you're near China, in defiance of China, or Russia for some of the former Soviet states, then it comes at a cost. And in the case of Cuba, perhaps that cost is that you're in a state of war. Being in a state of war,
you look around the world, there are similar problems, but not as dire as the one that Cuba faces. So go a little bit to the south, South America. And one of the most dramatic and important of developments of the past decade is that South America, for the first time since the European conquerors came, for the first time in 500 years, has made a very significant move towards independence, towards integration. There isn't a single U.S. military base left in South America, which is pretty remarkable.
What do you think, Tariq?
Well, I think that over the last decades, the most significant changes we've seen have come from South America. I mean, I visited Venezuela, Bolivia, Brazil, and the mood is just different. And many people say it's the first time ever we feel really independent, that whatever the weaknesses might be of these regimes, and there are some, they are sovereign states and they act as such. And when Chavez, for instance, says something to the United States, he's very blunt and open about it. And he told me once, he said, you know, I gave a speech in the UN, and a lot of other countries who can't say this in public come and congratulate me and say, thank you, you're speaking for all of us. And he says, I say to them, but you can speak too. No one can stop you, but you know, the condition...
Well, they obviously think they can't speak.
They think they can't. And this is now a mode in most of South America, I mean, with the exception of Colombia, Mexico, and partially Chile. Elsewhere, people are feeling we're independent for the first time ever. I think this is going to be a huge problem for the United States. I mean, they're obsessed with the Arab world and China and now Iran. But in South America, for a decade or a bit more, the United States is not in control.
It worries them enormously. In fact, the National Security Council, top planning organization, warned that if we cannot control Latin America, how are we going to impose a successful order on the rest of the world, meaning rule the rest of the world? So if we can't control even our backyard, how are we going to control everything else? Now there's a deeper point. Now moving over to the Middle East, the deep concern in the United States and the other traditional imperial powers, Britain and France particularly, concern is that now they may, the Middle East might get out of control. And that's serious, much more serious than South America.
I agree. That's why they invaded Libya, Noam. I have no doubt about it, was to re-establish control.
I agree, but I think it's all over. So, for example, if you take a look at what's happened in the Arab Spring, the countries that are crucial to Western imperial power, the oil producers, they have been under a very tough hand. In Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the Emirates, the major oil-producing regions, it never got off the ground. The intimidation of the security forces backed by the West was so enormous that people were literally afraid to go into the streets in Riyadh. The West, mainly France and Tunisia, the United States and Britain and Egypt, are following a very traditional pattern. There's a playbook that you pursue, gives you a kind of a game plan when some favored dictators lose the capacity to rule. What you do is support them until the last possible minute when it's impossible any longer, maybe the army turns against them. You get your intellectual class to issue ringing declarations about democracy, and then you try to restore the old system as much as possible. That's what's done with Somoza, Marcos, Duvalier, Mobutu, Suharto. I mean, it's routine. It takes genius not to see it.
But I think the real problem, Julian, is that democracy itself is in very serious trouble because of the corporations. When you have two European countries, when you have Greece and Italy, the politicians abdicating and saying, let bankers run our countries. Yes. I mean, where is it going to go? You know, so what we are witnessing is that democracy is becoming more and more denuded of content. It's like an empty shell. And this is what is angering young people who feel whatever we do, whatever we vote for, nothing changes. Hence all these protests.
And do you think it's, you know, this problem, is it the media, is it structural, is it the increased ability of the centre to control the periphery as a result of more sophisticated telecommunications?
It is.
What's driving it?
What's driving it is a democracy that has become petrified. But the media has become a pillar, a central pillar now of the establishment, much more than it was during the Cold War. At that time, they were proving to the Russians and the Chinese, our system is better than yours. Yep. Now they don't feel the need to prove it, so they operate as they want.
Well, they were using freedom of expression as a stick to beat the Soviet Union, and now there's no need for that. I think you had this like alliance between liberals and the military and the elite in the West, all coming together for mutual interests to demonstrate the superiority of the West compared to the Soviet. And that sort of very unnatural alliance is now split apart.
A, it's split apart, and B, within the Western world, they have now got things controlled to such an extent that they literally get away with murder. I mean, Obama has now signed a law according to which the American president has the right to authorize the killing of an American citizen without any recourse to law at all. No due process, which no other US president in history has done. I mean, even during the Civil War, the people who tried to kill Lincoln, or who killed Lincoln, the conspirators, were tried in a court, however faulty it was. No longer you can order someone to be killed. And this attack on civil liberties is, of course, extremely disturbing because it really affects democracy.
I mean, do you think these social movements that are happening in Latin America, if you look at the sort of the technological adoption in Latin America, it's somewhere like the US was in the 1970s. And is the political and social interaction that is occurring in those states as a result of the technological interactions that are occurring? So perhaps it is simply not possible for a more industrialized country to adopt the model of a less industrialized country. Would we have to throw away the industrialization to do it?
I don't think so. I mean, most of these Western states have very happily become deindustrialized and made China into the dominant economic power in the world, like the British were in the 19th century. I mean, China is the workshop of the world. Yeah. There's been a huge increase. The workforce, while declining in the West, has trebled from 1 billion in the 70s and 80s to over 3 billion today because of what's happening in China, India, parts of South America. So I think the so-called advanced powers have a lot to learn from the good things that have been happening in South America. Why not?
Noam, is there a model, a practical functioning model?
Well, I think I agree with Tariq. There's many models, but I don't think that popular forces concerned with changing their own societies should be looking for models. I think they should be creating the models. And that's exactly what's happening. So models in South America, let's say, where there's been a lot of progress, they're developing models. In Bolivia, which has been mentioned a couple of times, one of the most striking things that's happened there is that the most repressed part of the population in the hemisphere, the indigenous population, has moved into the political arena, has in fact taken political power, and is pursuing its own concerns. It's also happening in Ecuador and to an extent in Peru. Well, they're developing new and significant models. And some of the aspects of those models, the West had better pick up pretty soon, or else it's all going to be over.
We always had this claim that capitalism and democracy goes together, and China seems to be the great example that it's even more efficient at being a capitalist state than a democratic state.
Well, I never believed that capitalism and democracy go together. The Chinese demonstrate that today, that the most successful capitalist country in the world has not an ounce of democracy in the way it functions. But even historically, for hundreds of years of its existence, capitalism functioned without democracy till the beginning of the 20th century. I mean, women were only given the vote after the First World War. So either no democracy or a truncated democracy suits capitalism perfectly. And this notion that capitalism and democracy go together was a Cold War construct designed to hammer the Russians and the Eastern Europeans and the Chinese. It has no basis in historical fact.
No?
First of all, we don't have capitalist societies. We have one or another variety of state capitalism, and that's true wherever an industrial system functions. So, for example, in the United States, the state role in the economy is enormous. I mean, let's take what the three of us are doing right now. This is based on the IT revolution, computers, internet, satellites, microelectronics, and so on. Most of this was developed in the state sector. In fact, exactly where I'm sitting at MIT was one of the places where these things were being developed, and the 50s and the 60s under Pentagon funding mostly. It was both funding, subsidy, invention, creation, also procurement. For decades, this was in the state sector before it was handed over to private capital for commercialization and profit. And if you go back...
This technological progress, you know, in the 1930s, from literature from that period, you often see the Soviets talking about how their system is simply more efficient. And therefore, as an efficient system of industry, it will dominate. And you also saw the Nazis speaking in precisely the same terms, that this massive technological investment producing an efficient industry will simply dominate other forces around it. Isn't this a basic ideological constraint that regardless of what system that you want, regardless of what people desire, maybe we all be nice to each other for a change, something very, very basic, simple human decency. If that system is not efficient compared to another system, the other system will simply grow in scale until it dominates.
Well, it will, but only if it grows militarily. You see, the United States is weak economically at the moment. You know, it's hugely in debt, as Noam has pointed out. It's a real structural crisis. But it is very dominant militarily, and it uses its military strength to dominate other parts of the world which might be doing well economically but don't have that strength. That's the problem we face.
So this conflict between the desire to do something for ideological reasons and then a sort of practical reality that, say, totalitarian capitalism may simply be the most efficient system and therefore will dominate.
It's not an efficient system. In fact, take a look at China. China's growth has been spectacular, but China has grown largely as an assembly plant. It's primarily the assembly plant for the advanced industrial countries on its periphery, Japan, Taiwan, South Korea. So, for example, take, say, Foxconn, this huge, hideous factory in China where working conditions are utterly grotesque. It's a Taiwanese-owned factory. It produces Apple computers, iPods, Dell computers, and so on. What's happened over the past years is that China has been the assembly plant for the advanced industrial state capitalist countries on its periphery and for Western multinationals. Now, of course, sooner or later, China will begin to move up the technology ladder. In fact, in some respect, it's already happening. China has actually begun to innovate with solar cells that surpass those elsewhere. And that'll begin to happen elsewhere, but it's a long, slow process.
Tariq, both you and Noam have had a long life as activists. So when you look at this generation of activists now in the West that is just starting to be politically radicalized, I think internet radicalized youth is probably the best way that I would describe them. What do you want to tell them? What experience that you have had through these multiple battles over dozens of years can you give to them? Because it seems to me that there was a moment, perhaps during the 80s and 90s, that there was no continuity from this tradition of dissent in the West. Tariq?
I try avoid giving advice to younger generations because generations are so different from each other, and given the world has changed so much, the only universal advice to be given is don't give up. You live through bad times and you feel, you know, that everything is lost and many people become passive. But passivity, which is usually leads to despair. And I think it's extremely important to realize for young people growing up today that they need to be active. And activity is something that leads to hope. And that unless they're active themselves, no one is going to hand them anything on a plate. That's the lesson of the last few years with this new radicalization. Don't give up. have hope, remain skeptical, be critical of the system that dominates us all, and sooner or later, if not in this generation, in generations to come, things will change.
No?
Well, a lot of things have changed over the years, and they've changed often to the better. They've changed because lots of dedicated people committed themselves to it, and that history hasn't ended. There's changes ahead, and we can do something about them. And in fact, there are very serious problems. So, for example, if the species continues on its present course, we probably will be facing destruction of the possibility for decent survival simply because of things like fossil fuel use. That's an extremely serious issue. And it's kind of like, you know, the lemmings going over the cliff.
I'm Julian Assange.
Roger, I'll get you in.
The audio and turn on my video. Cool. Nice discussion. Nice discussion. Right? I think they were wrong in a couple places. It wasn't evident as clear that these were color revolutions that were happening in the Middle East, in large part funded by Soros and the deep state in the Western world. But good discussion, great discussion. Yeah, Lark Bark, very good segment, very good segment. I really like it. And by the way, gang, I've shook hands both with Tariq Ali and Noam Chomsky. I've watched them both speak. Tariq Ali, actually, I went to a little cafe on Commercial Street in Vancouver back in the mid 2000s, and watched them speak in a little cafe, and went and got his book. I think I should have his book signed. I got Chomsky's book signed as well. So I do like that episode because two people that I've talked to, and I asked them questions. I talked to Tariq Ali regarding South America at the time, where the social movement had taken over, and it looked very promising for the indigenous populations, and it looked very, very promising movement. And I mentioned to him, I said, for me, I couldn't see how they could turn this around, because there was so many positives coming out of it, right? So many people coming out of poverty in Latin America at that time in the mid 2000s, right? And I really couldn't see it going back the other way. And I asked Tariq Ali, I go, what he thought about that? And he turned to me and said straight up, he goes, it's still very fragile. It could turn the other way at any time. And I was like, I don't know. I think he's I don't think he's seeing it right. I think it's more powerful than anybody expects. But in some places, it turned the other way, right? So lots of great discussion there. Lots of great information. Chomsky, United States, Tariq Ali, the UK. Okay, they're two of the best known thinkers from both countries, and pretty important discussion, right? And if we go back to the playlist, doink, we have, let me kill this. On that level, I would say it's Jasinski and Horowitz discuss more social issues, and the cyberpunk part 1 and 2, if you take a look at the playlist, cyberpunk 1 and 2 really emphasize on the technology aspect of how technology is being rolled out into our societies, and I think both of those are worth watching as well. So we can do Jasinski at 2 o'clock and maybe do part 1 of the cyberpunk discussion, and then we can do part 2 tomorrow, and 2 others maybe. Zare, what Tariq said, the US being fragile is in regard me to its debt, and only way it stays afloat is by military imperialism. Yeah, and that's what's giving it the currency power, right? It's no wonder why we spend so much on our military budget. Yeah, which is people say the United States dollar is fiat currency. Sure, all currencies are fiat currencies, right? Even Bitcoin, cryptos are fiat, right? The intrinsic value of crypto is its processing power, the algorithm, some providing privacy, some not providing any privacy or anonymity, right? But it's the processing power, the energy, right? Well, the United States, one of the reasons the US dollar has been dominant, the world's currency is decreasing, is because of its military might. Now, what's happening right now is United States is pulling out of Eurasia. One of the reasons that United States is pulling out of Eurasia, Afghanistan, right, done, right, is because the United States has to, as Chomsky and Tariq Ali said, start focusing more on Latin America, South and Central America. So you can see things sort of going belly up there, and they need to get they need to get back into Africa. They've dropped the ball in Africa in terms of imperialism, so they're getting back in there, and they created the new branch AFRICOM in the mid-2000s and whatnot, right? Spectral shot, that's my opinion anyway. Spectral shot. Chomsky has gone a bit senile as of late, endorsing Biden and now saying that his presidency has been a better than expected. Yeah, Chomsky gang, don't judge the elderly based on how their mind is working when you're talking to them. Look at the body of work they've produced over the decades, right? Chomsky was 100% incorrect, wrong in saying that people should hold their nose and vote for Biden. There's no doubt about it. And right now, Chomsky, how old is he now? I don't want to say he's becoming irrelevant, because the body of work he's created over the last few decades is very relevant. He's a great historian. Okay, he knows his facts very well, the sequence of events taking place. But in regards to present day world events, current events, especially domestic in the United States, I don't think he appreciates the magnitude of what the hell is happening. Okay, I don't think he really understands the intricacies of Epstein and Maxwell. Okay, and but he did understand what was happening to Julian Assange, and kudos to him, right? Cheryl, to Zari, I agree with the imperialism, but add that it's the only guarantee to prevent more powerful debt holders from calling it in. Yeah, and if they call it in, Cheryl, with US debt, all they're gonna do is just devalue the currency up the yin yang, right? Just print $1 trillion and hand it off to China. Here's your debt, right? What's that going to do? Well, it's going to create a lot of chaos, inflation up the yin yang in the United States, right? But in the long run, it might bring back manufacturing to the United States, right? Zara to Cheryl, example of more powerful debt holders, China. Yeah. Zara Cheryl says China. Deep flake. I'm not sure Bitcoin can be described as fiat. Isn't fiat but government decree? Well, no, fiat is a currency that is not backed by anything, right? So United States currency, the US dollar, it's fiat, but it's not. People think just because it's not backed by commodities, it has to be fiat. Well, it's backed by trust, faith that the United States is not going to default on its debt. And I believe the United States is one of the only countries in the world that has never defaulted on their debt, even though it's de facto default when they debase it from the gold standard with Nixon in 73, 71 and whatnot, right? But they haven't defaulted, so they hold that. it's still a very large consuming nation, and it's got a pretty powerful military might when it wants to quash little people, right? But US military has crumbling, like literally crumbling. What's happening in Afghanistan should clear, eliminate any dispute that people have regarding this, right? Its covert operation is still very powerful, right? And it's been farming out its chaos creating to mercenaries, right? No, Chomsky's 92, yeah. Unfortunately, so the elections took place when Chomsky was 90, 91, 90, 90, 91. So, yeah, I don't think he understood the intricacies of what was going on. Vote for the lesser of two evils. I don't think Biden is the lesser of two evil, right? Monopoly money launderer, chycho. What's your view on Jordan Peterson? Jordan Peterson, I think he's. I don't agree with a lot of things he said. I agree with a lot of things he does say. So it depends on which part of his dialogue. I think he's a free-thinking human being. I have respect for him for speaking his mind. As a person, sure, I have respect for him because he's speaking his mind and he's fighting against centralized power and he's fighting against censorship. I support anyone that is fighting against censorship. Period. Okay. Censorship is the chains that bind us. Okay. Solano is going to the moon, man. Solano. Isn't it backed by oil? I don't know. Backed by oil? Whose oil? That's the kicker, right? I mean, dollar and oil go hand in hand. So, well, the petrodollar, the US dollar, one of the other things that's giving US dollar weight is because Saudi Arabia only sells its oil with the US dollar, right? Which countries came out and said they were going to do trade outside of the US dollar? Let's count the ways. Venezuela, Libya, Iran. Oh, they bombed the crap out of Libya. They conducted 2 coups in Venezuela. Oh, don't forget Iraq. And they invaded and occupied Iraq. So 4 countries that came out and said they were going to start selling oil outside of the US dollar because that's one of the things that gives US dollar any weight, right? As soon as Saudi Arabia starts selling oil outside of US dollar is going to crumble by 50%, right? So petrodollar. So what you're saying is Solano is a petrodollar, Anuj? Petrocurrency. I personally wouldn't invest in it. The real MC Mike, fiat is simply backed by the people's faith. Yeah, rough Latin translation. So fiat currency literally backed by the nation's people's faith that the currency has some sort of value, even though it is not backed by anything else. Yeah, and that you can say regarding anything, right? Any type of currency. Spectral shot. I might not agree with Jordan Peterson or everything, but I think he speaks from the heart and isn't bought by anyone, so he has my respect. Indeed, I agree with Spectral shot. That's my opinion about Jordan Peterson. Okay. Anuj, and I think he's wrong on many aspects and right on many others. Anuj is literally going up now. Right now, is it? Dub XY. Oh yeah, been watching my position go up for the last few hours. Cool. Real MC Mike, check out Mike Maloney's video series The Hidden Secrets of Money. It is a fantastic documentary on the history, philosophy, economics, and more on money, currency, gold and silver, and even crypto. No, Solano is going up right now. Cool. I wish everyone luck playing the markets. US to anyone, yeah, quote, cyanide for dinner says, US to anyone, quote, do not resist, you're being rescued, end quote. Anuj, wow, petro crypto chycho, you are giving globalists new ideas. I'm pretty sure they already have those ideas, Anuj, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be working towards releasing that in those central digital currencies. in full sphere. When you see beyond the money, you see their plans. Aha, yeah. And you can follow the money. When you follow the money, you see it. Parker, fiat stands for fix it again, Tony. Haha. Funny, Parker. Dr. P, every human construct that is currently in play is evolving at a rapid pace. Extreme change is on the horizon, indeed, and we've already gone through serious extreme changes, gang. The world looks completely different than a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Really huge differences. It may seem like some of the things are going slow, but they're going very, very rapidly. They have been for quite some time. It's the, what's it called, the quickening, right? Monopoly money launderer. Chycho, you following right to repair in US? Yeah, for sure, some of it. And that right to repair has been going on for a very long time. You, according to US corporations, you buy something, you don't own it. You have no right to touch it. It's like, excuse me, what the hell? What is this bullshit, right? Data, where do you see the next full-scale war happening, or the next big war trigger going to come from? I think we're to a certain degree into it with cyber warfare. Okay, Dada, we're in global cyber warfare right now. Huge, and it's on multiple fronts. Okay, it's internal. Okay, huge. It's a war on people. Okay, huge. There's going to be a lot of false flag that there already has been. Huge. In terms of hot war on the ground, Iran is a target. Iran has been a target for a very long time. They just can't get enough momentum to do what they want to do. I hope they never do. Okay, so Iran is in perpetual play all the time for the Zionist Western capitalist nations. Really, hands down. Okay, South America, Latin America is a hot zone, and Africa, right? Aside from that, there's a couple of hot spots going on in Europe as well. China, I don't think it's going to go hot in the immediate future, but it could go hot in the mid-term future. Okay, everywhere. Okay, infosphere, because parts of the scheme isn't just having money, it's keeping the poor. Yeah, indeed, right? How are you going to get people to sign up to be cannon fodder in their wars if they have no way out, right? If they're student debts, no education, no housing, why majority of people that sign up to join the US military because they don't have any other options, right? That's why the United States and the Western world in general keeps their poor people poor, right? They're also a threat, fear for the middle class. Oh, if you don't obey, if you don't follow what we do, you become the poor. Yeah, and here's a carrot, follow us, you might become the rich. It's a joke. 3-point blackout to Alan. Kremlin just makes it too obvious with their nonsense. Kremlin does? Russia just raised interest rates saying, oh, we're not going to devalue our currency. Anuj, Iran is the last stronghold that US wants to destroy, and Russia. US along with allies agreed, and Iran has been a target for a very long time. Iran is extremely powerful now, gang, more powerful than it was 20 years ago, thanks to the stupidity of Western foreign policy, right? Spectral shot. Will Iran move into Afghanistan? No, Iran has no desire to occupy anyone. Iran already has dealings with Afghanistan, right? Part of Afghanistan, they speak Pashtun, Farsi, right? Dialect of Farsi. They do dealings with. Iran's not going to move into Afghanistan. That's CNN propaganda. Joe Chycho, is there a conflict between China and Taiwan? What do you think the result will be? The destruction of the world? Who knows? But if it happens, the United States can't. I don't think the United States will be able to do anything. Okay. Taiwan will have to take care of Taiwan. No, you cannot rely on the Western world to provide you protection. They can't even beat people in sandals, barefoot, riding bicycles and donkeys, right? If you want to, I'm downplaying it, right? In Afghanistan, they can't even occupy that, right? How are they going to stand up against China? Monopoly money launderer. Also, heard of the Israeli software called Pegasus? Yeah, many governments apparently use it to spy on people. Yeah, indeed, monopoly. It's going to be interesting. Elder God, I see the Russians going into Afghanistan. Russia's not going to go into Afghanistan. There's going to be lots of business dealing with Afghanistan, with the Taliban. Iran's going to do trade with them. Russia's going to do trade with them. Pakistan's going to do trade with them. Well, maybe, right? We might see changes happening in Pakistan as well. China's going to do deals with them. The main three players that are going to have fair bit of influence in Afghanistan, in my opinion, are Iran, Russia, and China. Okay. Twitter bots. Taliban only listen to Pakistan. I don't know, Anuj. Pakistan, I don't know what the situation is. Pakistan, has the United States lost control of Pakistan as well? I'm guessing, and if they haven't, they will soon. Okay. What about China? Chycho, are you a libertarian? I believe in free thought, free speech. I believe in decentralization, localization. Okay, Lark Bark. And shame on the young Turk neoliberal lovers disgusting crap they promote. Oh my God, yeah, the young Turks. Anyone watching that, you got your heads up your ass. It's pure garbage. Why would you want to watch pure garbage? Cheryl, my prediction is and has been that China will be the next foreign power in Afghanistan. Just sans military, it's a perfect BRI partner. I agree with Cheryl in a big way, right? I think it's going to be Iran and China, the main influences in Afghanistan. Russia, just because they occupied it and there's still bad blood there, but Russia is going to do business there, right? But with Cheryl, China for sure, and Iran, that link is going to be connected. Okay. Data, do you recommend any graphene detox protocols like those by David? I don't know. Apparently the liquid used for C swap test also can be, yeah, I don't know on that front. I explained to most of my loved ones, don't participate. Okay. And friends, some didn't listen. Sign up for dinner. Makes me believe the most free place to live is Antarctica. Wow, the forces are there. Some people say a lot of stuff going on in the world is because of Antarctica, right? Elder God, I meant an economic invasion. Victory through investment. Yeah, Elder God, in that front, yeah, Russia is going to go in there as well, but I think China and Iran are going to be the main players. Economically, 100%. It's over. According to Brzezinski, with the Great Grand Chessboard, the book that he wrote in 1978 or something like this, 74, I can't remember. The United States just lost the world. Not that they ever had it in their minds. We lost the world. We own the world. No, you don't own the world. You guys just had your heads up your asses and you thought you could brutalize the whole world because you're psychopaths. It's insane, right? And yeah, US not giving Pakistan aid money. Trump stopped it. Biden hasn't even called Pakistan PM since he has taken office. Pakistan elites are pissed off right now. Oh, cool. Anuj, then yeah, Pakistan gone as well, right? Monopoly money launderer, by the way, just want to know where the rest of the chat is from. I'm from Russia, from UK. So we got Russia, we got the UK, I'm in Canada. We know we got the United States. I know there is India, right? Where is the rest of the chat from, gang? Where is everybody from? India, Anuj, India. Canada, King Canada Live, how you doing? Canada. There's going to be a lot of people from Canada, United States, and UK. Biden land, haha, Meta Dragons. Czech Republic, nice, nice. Scotland, ooh. Eagles and cycling, how are you doing? Ketutsu, UK. Spain, Scarlet Phoenix, Switzerland, hoo, right on. Huston fans. I can't even pronounce that. Switzerland, UK, lots of UK. My VPN says Switzerland, my US. I was going through a Switzerland VPN to watch the European Championships. Live streaming, it was great. Anuj, chycho, Canada is not evacuating Gurkha soldiers who were guarding Canadian embassy in Afghanistan. They should be. Canada committed a lot of war crimes in Afghanistan. They need to get out. Do not put Canadian lives at risk. But Canada is not the main target for the Taliban right now. Taliban right now is making a point, right? Proving a point, and I'm pretty sure they got the backing of China, Russia, and Iran as well, saying go. And they created their Saigon moment for the United States, right? Where helicopters are flying to the US embassy to evacuate people, right? What a slap in the face. What a slap in the face to the United States of America and NATO in general, right? What was it? $6 trillion. What could the United States have done with $6 trillion to better the lives of its own citizens? Americans should be very pissed right now. Not just against Biden admin, but against Trump, Obama, Clinton, and Bush, right? Lots of UK people here. Lots of love from the UK. Right on. Lots of UK. Cheryl, to cycling, check. For some reason, I had you in Belgium. Must have you mixed up with someone else. Best country to live in the world, your opinion. Personally, the best country to live in the world is the country that you have the most rights. Okay, so the odds are you have the most rights in the country you were born. For some, right? For me, right now, I can't even imagine going anywhere else other than where I am. El Salvador, Deep Blake, you're in El Salvador. Woohoo, El Salvador. Prague, I've been to Prague. Prague is a beautiful city, a great city for cycling, a great city for bar hopping. Lots of Prague, a lot of crazy drinking on this, insane. I know, yeah, Biden made a stupid comment just a month ago that Taliban can't take over. Yeah, the laughing stock of the world for decades to come. They're all the same clowns. Agreed. Switzerland, kebabs. We got 2 Switzerland. Woohoo! Yeah, I feel extremely lucky to be born in BC. Yeah, I wasn't born here, but I'm glad to be here for now. Right, gang, let's call the stream. We're back in 2 hours, 2 p.m. Okay, we're gonna watch a couple more of the Julian Assange's world tomorrow. Okay, we'll probably start off with Zinsky and then one of the cyberpunks, part 1 of the cyberpunks. Okay, Deep Flake, no, I'm in UK. I was just saying, oh, you're in UK, Deep Flake. Okay, El Salvador is best country. Okay, but only if you're a Bitcoin hoarder, indeed. No, I was just naming Switzerland as a nice place to live. Nice place to live. Possibly. Take care, Chycho. You too as well, Anuj. Thank you, gang, for being here. Till next time, buddy. 2 hours, gang. And aside from that, you want to know what this is all about? Going through the Speedy Gonzalez. I'm on Patreon. We're live streaming on Twitch. I announce on Minds, VK part of and we have a Discord page. Audio for most of the live streams or many of the live streams where we don't have any visuals are uploaded to SoundCloud as a podcast. And this live stream will be available on CensorTube, on BitChute, on Rumble, and on Odyssey. Gang, I'll see you in 2 hours, okay, if you can make it. We'll continue with the world tomorrow. Bye, everyone.